Christine Marie, and I am so privileged and excited to be here with you on this Sunday. On Sundays, we talk about spiritual intelligence. And I felt compelled to talk about something tonight that actually does not have direct ties to spiritual intelligence. And so I get on here very rawly, and I don't have anything curated aside from top level direction. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll see how this ties into spirituality. The topic that I felt compelled to talk about tonight was creation, and how diving into how knowing interacts with creation, and what even is knowing in the first place. What is the point of knowing, and how does creation just really have a part to play when it comes to knowing ourselves? And so I want to start off just with giving a very raw and candid recount of my week. For those of you who follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn, you saw what I shared earlier today, which was effectively I've had a very hard week, and it was weird. I just felt off, and I didn't really know why. And it was continuous. It was almost every single morning. I woke up at 4 a.m. I was on my habits this week, which normally I feel very, I wake up and I feel excited for the day, what a blessing to have that kind of modus operandi to the day. But for the most part this week, it was just a very real struggle. And I felt depressed, and I didn't really know what to do about it. At various points, I got these little revelations like gratitude is a choice. Let me walk in gratitude. I get to choose my environment. And in those moments, I was really able to shift my atmosphere. One morning in particular, I decided to, I had that reminder that gratitude is a choice, and immediately I just started to sing, and I literally felt the atmosphere in my car change. And so that was huge and so encouraging to experience, but I still kept wrestling with it. And I had a couple of breakthrough moments, but today was really what I needed. And so the mini breakthrough moments happened during vertical alignment, and really giving myself space throughout the week to sit and be like, what is going on, and really dive deep. And I realized a few things. One, Sunday last week was what would have been my 12th wedding anniversary. So that was a good clue into, okay, maybe there's something more there on an emotional level, that I just need to give space for emotions rather than just reasoning and kind of processing in my head on a logical level. But I needed to allow for any dormant emotions to come up. And so I did that, and that helped me on like Thursday afternoon. And then Thursday night and Friday night, I had really terrible dreams in the middle of the night. One night I dreamed 2 different dreams about getting murdered. And it was just like, what is happening? And maybe this is how, I said at the very beginning, I wasn't really sure how spirituality would tie into this, but it felt very clear to me like there was something on a different terrestrial level happening. And I was like, this is weird. Like, I don't normally have terrible dreams. I normally wake up in the morning and I feel good. What is going on? And so by me going into the arena multiple times, it gave clues as to what was going on and helped me lift kind of out of that weird energy. But it kept going and kept persisting. And so I felt like this whole week I was effectively in and out of the arena, just really going inward. And I knew that I could turn on TV. I knew that I could call up friends and distract from effectively the depressive state I was in. But I was like, no, like there's something here for me. I just know it. And so I really leaned in. And frankly, it was hard. Even my partner, I let him know, I was like, I'm going to be off the grid, even though I wanted his comfort and I wanted his love. But here's the thing. When I'm in the arena and I'm not doing well, and then I try to interact with my partner, I know that I'm going to end up getting them in trouble somehow. I know that I'm going to end up getting angry at them in some regard. And I experienced that. Because I was in a vulnerable, tender state, I knew that he would be the target. And so I told him, I was like, I'm just going to kind of go off the grid for a couple of days, even though I really, really want and need the TLC that you can give me. I know that that's actually not going to be the solvent. Another aspect of this was that I feel like I've been in a season of waiting over the last probably 6 to 9 months. And it's been really as it pertains in regards to relationships. And there's been a couple of experiences, both platonic and romantic and everything in between, a couple of relationship moments over the last 12 months that have really been painful, where it felt very much like social rejection. And in The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, it talks a lot about how our body holds on to physical trauma. But then neuroscience shows that it's not just physical trauma that our body holds on to, it's also social rejection. So y'all, any moment in our childhood that we were rejected socially, our body stores it as it would a physical trauma, like getting into a car accident or falling from a tree and breaking your arm. Those are actual physical traumas on our bodies, but our body and our brain records social rejection the same way, which changes everything. And not just does it change everything when we look in the past, does it then allow for extending compassion to those little children that were and are us, but it also warrants so much compassion to us in present day. We're still experiencing social rejection as adults. And it's really awkward to talk about that because no one does, right? So maybe I should reframe that of, it's not awkward. It feels uncomfortable to talk about because there's no context or environment for the conversation. And social rejection in adulthood oftentimes looks like not getting invited to the party, looks like not getting the promotion, not being chosen as a speaker, not being accepted for the podcast, whatever it is, that social rejection, regardless, even as I'm talking about this, I feel it in my stomach. Social rejection is so painful, even as adults. And I actually today, I went through this whole process during vertical alignment where I really love this concept of pouring out my soul. And it's this visual that's just so beautiful of like taking the jar and pouring out the contents therein, because man, it can, if the contents within any jar stay for too long, it's going to end up getting moldy and gross. I'll be gone for a week and I'll come back and be like, shoot, I forgot that I left my AG1, which is the nutrition drink. I left a little bit of it in the glass in the sink, and man, it is disgusting by the time I get back. That is what happens to our soul if we don't allow for the cleansing and the purification of it. Just like how our body has the lymphatic system and the glymphatic system for our brain to rinse and repeat and get rid of the toxins and the waste, we need to be doing that for our soul. So this concept of pouring out our soul is it's so beautiful. It's so raw. It's so challenging because, and I was thinking about this while I was cooking dinner tonight, what we're not admitting to ourselves, what we're pretending that we don't want, is ultimately preventing us from seeing the truth. And so today I really leaned into, okay, what is really going on, like beneath the surface? And I actually was talking into my phone during my vertical alignment, and I was just walking around like, what is it? And I just was verbally processing. And it started out as the process of like, okay, I'm in the season of waiting. I know that if I got what I wanted right now, it wouldn't satiate that kind of like urge, that earnest sense of yearning, because I know that if I got what I wanted right now, I would just be wanting what's next and waiting for it. So, okay, so I know that. And then I just kind of kept following the yellow brick road of asking why? Like, what really is it? I've been in the arena this whole week. What is really going on that will allow for me to get to kind of the breakthrough moment? And then as I was reading, this whole week while I've been in the arena, I've also been listening to David Hawkins' Letting Go in the car while I've been driving hereabouts. And that's what he's been talking about right now, specifically in the book, is the whole premise of how if we desire something, if we want something, it's effectively acknowledging, well, I don't have it. And so then the question is, I'm getting a phone call. Then the question is, okay, well, how do I want something and wait for it, and while also strive for it, yet also let go of it? And so I kept going down that yellow brick road. And y'all, it came all the way down to, at the very, very root, me sitting alone in my condo this week. Whereas, yes, I've got family close by. I actually saw family for at various moments this week, but it's like this yearning within us that is to be seen, known, loved, held. That has to be satiated, right? But who can do that? Because, I had the opportunity to talk to my partner a couple of times this week, and I knew, because I had this in me that I was unsettled and I didn't feel aligned. He became my target when he's the one that I would actually probably go to normally, but I just knew that was what happened a couple of times without me protecting him and protecting me by me staying in the arena alone. Otherwise, the people that we love the most are going to become our targets. So while I was in the arena this week, listening to different books and doing a lot of the processing work myself, having these little revelations, what I realized today was a couple of things. One, staying in the arena, really, man, it was days on days where I stayed in the arena and I shut off distraction. I didn't allow other people in the arena with me, and I really leaned in and kept my head down. So that was number one. Number two was that there were multiple revelations, and I had to listen to myself and listen to my soul and be like, okay, more actually needs to be dumped out. We talk about pouring out the soul. More needs to be cleansed so that I can continue to get revelations, but I'm not there yet. So the more we know our body, the more we can sense the discomfort, the more we can actually sense that we haven't experienced the full emotional release that we need in order to kind of get to the other side of breakthrough. So that's number two. Number three was, again, following that yellow brick road down by asking why and really leaning into the emotional sensations, following the revelations, but not allowing us to get lackadaisical. Like, oh, I got a revelation, that's enough. No, if we don't feel that we're right, we need to keep going. So with that, then it was, okay, I'm in this period of waiting. I'm here alone in my condo. Last night, this is just a little story for context to the next thing that I learned while I was in the arena this week. I was at Cynthia Vero's concert with the National Orchestra Symphony at Wolf Trap Arena in Virginia, and I was sitting there with a girlfriend of mine. She's wonderful and got us tickets, and I was sitting there listening to Cynthia. My entire family is having this huge exciting reveal for my sister, and they're celebrating the niece's birthdays and my sister's birthday, and it was just this whole big hoopla. And I was like torn. I was having a wonderful time watching and listening to Cynthia Vero, which is like the queen. She was the singer in the movie Wicked. She played Elphaba. And so I was sitting there and I just had this moment of like, it was so weird. It was almost this out of body moment where effectively I was watching myself having the experience, and I was like, okay, is there content I can create from this? Like, I wonder if I'm here to be a support to my friend who's been going through a lot. And then it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, is the experience alone worthy of me just enjoying it? Am I worthy of just having an experience and just enjoying it for no other reason than this present moment? And what's so interesting is that with every superpower of ours, there's always a shadow. So my superpower is alchemy. So that's like beautiful. And I love that about me. I love how I can make magic out of the ordinary moments. I love how I can have something bad happen and truly alchemize it. But what then happens, the shadow side of that, is that me sitting and listening to Cynthia Vero, I started thinking of how can I alchemize this moment? Like, effectively, what's the greater mission here than simply sitting and enjoying the moment? And y'all, it was so interesting because what I realized was that me seeking to alchemize the moment was all to do with the external. How can I be there for my friend? How can I turn this into content that's meaningful and life-giving to other people, rather than just recognizing I'm here for me? And I really love this. And yes, there's a part of me that wishes I was with my family, and it's okay to have the duality there, but I'm going to sit here and enjoy because I'm not with my family. That's not real. I'm here, and this is real. And so in that moment, though, what that taught me was that my desire for alchemy was solely in regards and in relation to the external, to the horizontal, and ultimately pulled me and my own being from the moment. But it was all predicated in this deep, deep, deep revelation of, oh my gosh, I just don't really think much about myself. Like, I don't live sometimes so in my body in the moment. And even as I say this, it's like, man, there's so much there for me still to unpack. But effectively, by way of living so externally focused, even for the sake of alchemy, even for something good, it's pulling me away from being in the moment. It's pulling me out of my own body, and it's pulling me out of my own being. And then at the end of the day, it reveals that I actually don't value my own presence of being to the extent that that alone is worth it, just to sit there and enjoy it. And what's so interesting is that I've found that when I've been alone and in isolation, I have a much easier time just enjoying myself. But when I'm with other people, it's like a switch happens in me, and immediately I need to be focused on them, and immediately I need to do something for them. And this is it's so habit for me. It's so subconscious. I didn't even realize I was doing it until I noticed that I wasn't in the present moment. And y'all, growth is effectively, we're going to still do the thing that we are trying to change, but the goal is like quicker realization, quicker awareness of, oh, I'm moving into an old program. Oh, I'm moving into an old pattern. Let me come back to center. So really, it's encouraging that I was able to catch myself and come back. But in realizing it and leaning into it, it's like, oh my gosh, that's concerning that when I'm in relationship with other people, I effectively will leave my own sense of being and move into a state of doing because I want to love other people, which is good. But then the question is that even love in the first place? Because if love isn't rooted and sourced from my core and effectively like flowing from within me to without, but it's almost like this external gift that I'm trying to offer other people rather than the gift coming and welling from within, then man, there's going to be resentment, there's going to be bitterness, there's going to be blame, there's going to be an element of attachment to the gift that we're giving if it's not rooted from within. Because when it's rooted from within, it's free. It's just the overflow of the love that we already have, and it's just pouring out naturally rather than something that we're striving for, grasping on, trying to give to other people. And so when we are able to love and give from within, that's the natural outpouring. And today, as I was really sitting with this, the way that this relates to creation, kind of the fourth revelation that I had today was as I went inward and as I kept tracing pulling on the strings of why, I realized that as I was moving through this whole process over this week, and okay, I'm waiting, I'm in the season of waiting, is the mission. So the reason how it relates with yesterday is like this whole concept of like, I'm in this moment, focusing now on everyone else being my mission. The real question that I had to confront today was, am I alone worthy of every experience that I have, regardless of its impact for other people? And it's so complex. And frankly, that's why I wrote about it today. And I need to keep writing about it because there's a lot here for me. There's a lot here for me because I've been so programmed to be codependent. I've been so programmed that my worth is tethered to what I do for others, that in order for me to effectively not have that be the case and learn to cultivate a state of being, I retreated and went into isolation and kind of removed myself from everyone around me. And so over the last year, I've been like, okay, well, how do I maintain vertical alignment, that state of being, while doing and living in relationship with other people? And so ultimately, I feel like the crossroads really came together. I felt like I had this breakthrough moment today that was so necessary, because at the end of the day, the question is, yes, I feel so called to this mission to impact the external. And we'll talk about knowing here in just a minute. I feel so called to this mission of knowing. But if I was to never see that mission actualized in my lifetime, if all I did for the next 80 years of my life was to pursue that which is right, pursue the mission that I feel so called to, say no to the things that would corrupt my soul and thus corrupt my mission, and live in this willingness to do the work, would that still be enough just for me? Even if I never saw the actualization of the change that I want to see on the horizontal, is it enough because it's impacting my life and transforming me along the way? So then the question at the end of the day becomes, am I worthy? Do you believe you're worthy for the things you're doing in your life? Is it enough for just doing it for you alone? And then the thing is, do I believe in the mission enough to just do it for me? Or how much am I living my life powered by the response of what other people are going to say, the change that I want to see in them? Because here's the thing, so long as my actions and my efforts are tethered to a potential outcome that I want to see in other people, gosh, that's so much control over the process for them, because then I'm never going to be happy unless the outcome looks exactly like what I want it to look like. And so, thus, their change needs to mirror exactly what I hope and dream it will look like for them. Y'all, I had a couple that I was working really closely with. Um, they ended up getting divorced. And for me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I failed." Like I want marriage to stay together, and I just felt like, honestly, I really felt like God told me, like, part of my purpose and part of my mission is to bring about death. The death of what should no longer remain. The death of that which is old, that which is broken, that which needs to be poured out. That doesn't mean divorce needed to happen, but if both parties aren't willing to undergo the change necessary for healing to take place, man, sometimes the death of the thing itself that you're trying to preserve is what is so necessary, you know? And so I have to let go of the outcome. I have to let go of that which I'm trying to protect and preserve. And I have to let go of the very thing that is the anticipated destination of what the mission is, because then I'm pursuing the mission today, not the mission and the outcome of what might be tomorrow. So pursuing the mission today in the moment keeps me grounded, focused, present, and it allows for me to ultimately be giving from my overflow because I'm doing the work for me. And I get to talk about it along the way, create content along the way, and that's where creation steps in. Y'all, it was wild. While I was in the arena, like the second I hit breakthrough, immediately my mind came alive and I started to create. I got crystal clear on what I needed to do for the craft and calling, the community, for the tradespeople that I'm really looking to serve. I got crystal clear on the knowing community that we're starting up here in the next couple months. All of a sudden, creation was the outcome of being in the arena. And so when I talk about knowing, what does knowing mean and how does that have to do with creation? Knowing is doing the deep inner work. And the deep inner work is identifying the source of pain and discomfort. It's curating a foundation predicated in the truth. And then it's activating agency to see real change. Knowing is effectively awakening to the truth and activating it accordingly. And so if we're only ever awakening, that's only half of knowing. The other half of knowing is activating the agency that is ours. It's activating the power of choice, which is the greatest of human freedoms, like Viktor Frankl said, author of Man's Search for Meaning. Y'all, we have to understand that knowing is to go into the arena, and the other side of the arena is creation. Because only when we've accessed and awakened our true, authentic self can we then create something new, create something original. Because otherwise, we'll be operating as a replica, as a phantom, as a muse of everyone around us. And we'll never be able to operate and be powered from our authentic core self, other than going into the arena, doing the deep inner work, which is identifying the pain, curating a foundation, and then activating agency to live a life in accordance with who you and I were initially created and designed and formed to be, lest we be a replica of everyone and everything around us. So with that, I just want to thank you so much for joining today, and I will